Hey everybody, I wanted to make this video about my Led Zeppelin record collection. Now before I start showing you all of the Led Zeppelin albums that I have, I gotta say, I got into Led Zeppelin so late. I was super late to the game. I obviously am a huge Beatles fan, so I devoted a lot of my record collecting and early musical kind of like history to devoted to the Beatles. I read about the Beatles, I bought all the Beatle albums, and I got just really crazy with the Beatles, right? Still am. And also with other bands too, like the Beach Boys, and then I moved on to like Neil Young and Bob Dylan. But for some reason, Led Zeppelin just always took a major back seat. I always have liked their music, what I've heard, but I've never actually owned any of their albums until about maybe like 2 years ago. About 2 years ago, I got Led Zeppelin 4 from my uncle. He gave it to me. Maybe it was more than 2 years ago, but I know for sure that about 2 years ago I started actually listening to it and like really appreciating the album for what it was as a whole album. Before that, when I was on tour with my now fiance, on the second tour we went on, I bought the Led Zeppelin like greatest hits CD called Mothership, which is like a 2 CD set, and I think I got it from like, I don't know where we were. We were on tour, and I just wanted some new music to listen to, so I bought that, and I just fell in love with it and liked everything about it. But that was about, I guess that was like 5 or 6 years ago at this point. Anyway, flash forward to, I'd say about this year, and I started seeing a lot of, actually, the real reason that this all started is because I was watching Paul, Fit to Be Tie-Dyed, his videos, and he had been buying all the Led Zeppelin like box sets of all the reissued remasters, the like deluxe editions. And I would see him post those videos, and it started getting me to thinking like, these first of all, they look really great. I love how they did all the reissues, the repackaging. It looks really great, really cool. So that got me kind of interested, and I would see them in record shops, so they're always kind of pricey for me. But it definitely got something sparked in me of like, I need to really devote some time to this band and to these albums, because they're just, obviously, everyone in the world considers them an excellent band and just a major musical force, on par with, arguably with like the top tier artists of that era, the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Bob Dylan, Beach Boys, that whole thing. So anyway, I really, in this last year, and especially these last 2 months, have just decided to make it a point to get all the Led Zeppelin albums on record, on vinyl, and to just listen to them and try to really appreciate their music. And I have, and I gotta say, I'm currently in the middle of a major obsession with Led Zeppelin. So, let's now move on to my Led Zeppelin record collection. So, first things first, we'll go in order. The very first Led Zeppelin album, just titled Led Zeppelin. Now, I just showed this record. I picked this up a couple weeks ago. This is in my last Vinyl Finds video. And there's the front here, and there's the back. So if you want to get more information on this record, you can check out that last Vinyl Finds video. So I won't waste time right now. But this is Led Zeppelin 1, and I absolutely love it, obviously. And some of my favorite songs on here are Good Times, Bad Times, obviously. Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You. Babe, I'm Gonna Leave You, by the way, has always been one of my favorite Led Zeppelin songs, because a friend of mine, whose name is also Brian, he showed it to me probably 15 years ago, and I remember thinking like, holy crap, this is an amazing song, and just an amazing performance and recording and all the above, right? And I could continue to go down this list and tell you what my favorite songs are, but I actually like every single song on this album, so I won't bore you with that. So that's Led Zeppelin 1. And then I have another copy of Led Zeppelin 1, which I did talk about also in my last Vinyl Finds video, but this is one that I picked up actually probably like 2 years ago. I got it in a record store, and it's been watercolored. Someone decided to watercolor the cover. And this was my copy for the longest time, but it's in pretty bad shape. It's pretty noisy, so I was happy to get this other one to add. But this is actually an earlier pressing, and I think this one actually sonically if it wasn't so scratched up. I think sonically it's a better pressing than this one. But this one's a lot cleaner, so that's my go-to for now. So anyway, that's Led Zeppelin 1, which I love. And don't worry, there's an inner sleeve inside here. So I'm not just putting it right back into the record. Some people, I think when they see me do that, they go, he's just putting it right into the cardboard without any sleeve. No, they all got sleeves. Okay, now Led Zeppelin 2. This is my favorite Led Zeppelin album up to this point. I've listened to this tons and tons and tons and tons of times. I can't get enough of it. I could listen to it right now and I would like it just as much as the first time I heard it. This is a Gatefold, as I'm sure a lot of you know. Kind of interesting Gatefold there. And this is, I don't know if this is like a first pressing or original pressing, but it's definitely an early pressing from the, let's see, when was this released? Like late 60s, early 70s? Oh, well, I don't know, but it doesn't matter. I don't know that much about Led Zeppelin as far as like the pressings and what year each album was released and all that stuff. I don't have like the same like knowledge that I do with the Beatles, but I can say that this pressing sounds really, really nice. It's not a Robert Ludwig hot stamper pressing. I don't know if I'm sure a lot of you know that story, but there's a special pressing that's a Robert Ludwig pressing that was pressed really, really loudly, and it sounds phenomenal. It's amazing. I've actually heard a couple of people who I know actually have those RL Robert Ludwig pressings, and they sound so great, and I hope to get one of those one day. But until then, I have this one, which sounds excellent to my ears, but I know it can sound better. So that's Led Zeppelin 2. And this is Led Zeppelin 3. And again, this is a Gatefold. And it's got this cool, little like wheel that goes around. You can like change the way the cover looks. If I can do it without hurting everything. There you go. Kind of cool. Cool little feature there. And this one is, I think this is a later pressing. Yeah, it is. I think this is like a late 70s pressing of this, but it's on Atlantic, which all the Led Zeppelin albums, well, not all of them, that's incorrect, but all the early ones are on Atlantic, and then later on they had their own label, Swan Song. But Led Zeppelin 3, I obviously like a whole lot, but surprisingly, I don't know why, it's the one that I have not really listened to all that much. I've actually had this now for over a year, but for some reason, all the songs on here are, obviously it has the Immigrant Song, which is an amazing classic song, and I've heard that a million times. It's got the song Friends, which is fantastic, Celebration Day, which is great. Since I've Been Loving You is probably my favorite song on this record. But then it has a lot of acoustic tunes on this, and I gotta say, the acoustic stuff is my least favorite, at this point, is my least favorite part of Led Zeppelin. When they are on the records, acoustic tunes, I listen to them and I like them, but I really want to hear the full band, that heavier stuff. That's really more of what I'm into at this point. So, and this album, I think, has a lot of the acoustic tunes on it, especially on side 2. So that kind of, I think, turns me off a little bit more so than like the first album or Led Zeppelin 2, which are just kind of very heavy and just excellent. So, but I still like it. So this is Led Zeppelin 3. And now this is the one I talked about earlier. This is Led Zeppelin 4. This was actually my uncle's copy. And this is an original pressing. And this one sounds so good. It's really in fantastic shape. My uncle took really good care of it. And for those of you that are interested in the pressing, this has the Porky, or as Pecco, P-E-C-K-O, is etched in the dead wax on side 1, and on side 2, it has etched in the dead wax Pecco Duck. And what that means, for those of you who care or want to know, is I think that has to do with the mastering. So whoever mastered it, that's who mastered it, and they did an excellent job. So if you ever see those words etched into any record, that's generally I say, going to be a really fantastic sounding pressing, and this one is. This is the one to get when it comes to Led Zeppelin 4. It really has amazing low end, and it just rocks really hard. And if you don't know Led Zeppelin 4, you should stop this video right now, go out and get it, or listen to it if you have to on Spotify or whatever, and familiarize yourself with it, because it's just, every single song in here is an absolute classic. It's probably Led Zeppelin's best album. It's got Black Dog, it's got Rock and Roll, Battle of Evermore. Again, Battle of Evermore is my least favorite song on this record, but it's still great. It's still really interesting. So this is a Stairway to Heaven on here, which I'm sure everyone in the world knows. It's got Misty Mountain Hop, and then probably my favorite song on here is When the Levee Breaks, which is just so insanely heavy. It probably has the best drum sound ever on any record by anyone. Listen to When the Levee Breaks. It's just fantastic. So that's Led Zeppelin 4, which I absolutely love. And again, this is a gatefold, and it's got an interesting kind of drawing / painting. I don't know if it's painting or drawing. Okay, moving on. This is Houses of the Holy, which I also really love. This happens to be a gatefold again. Now this, I need to upgrade. This is not in the best shape, but it is it's the pressing that is considered to be, from what I understand, to be one of the best pressings. This has a Sterling, has the name Sterling stamped in the dead wax, which is who did the mastering, and it sounds so great. Definitely worth trying to pick up if you can find a Sterling version of this. Now, like I said, this one, it sounds good. It's definitely good enough for what I need right now, but I would like to upgrade it and get a cleaner copy. This one's a little bit on the noisy side. But when it comes to Led Zeppelin, especially on like the harder, louder songs, a little bit of a noisy pressing is okay, because a lot of that gets covered by the loud guitars and the loud drums. It's when it's like the quieter songs that happen, then it ruins it for you. But this one's great. This is an album that I absolutely love. I listen to this one over and over again, and it's just really great. I know I keep saying it's just, but when it comes to Led Zeppelin, it's so fantastic. These songs are amazing. These albums are just absolute classics. And yeah, Houses of the Holy, super great. Now moving on, I picked this up 2 weeks ago. This is Physical Graffiti, Led Zeppelin, and I love this album. I'm obsessed with it. This happens to be the one of the reissues. This is from I think it's the 40th anniversary reissue that came out, and this is not the deluxe edition. This is just the standard double album. It's got this like holographic Led Zeppelin swan song thing on the back, and it sounds great. Now, I've read a lot about these remasters and these repressings, and it's kind of a mixed bag. There are some people who just praise them and think they're excellent and that they've done such a good job with these. There are some people who, as always, bitch and moan about they don't, like, oh, these don't sound as good as the original UK first pressings, which I probably would agree with them, but good luck trying to find a clean original UK first pressing. Good luck. That's not, less than $200. So if you want to get a clean, really great sounding Led Zeppelin record, these reissues are the way to go. I mean, I think I got this one for $30, and it sounds great. Some people talked about quality problems as far as like the vinyl was noisy, or there was like some of it skipped or whatever. This was played perfectly for me. The vinyl is dead quiet. I'm just super happy with this. And it has, I don't know why this is, I don't know, but this song always gets in my head all the time. This album has a song called Houses of the Holy, which is interesting because this album is called Houses of the Holy, but they recorded that song during this album, but didn't put it on the album, but decided to name the album Houses of the Holy. But they put that song on Physical Graffiti, and I just can't get enough of Houses of the Holy. But this album, every single song on this is so good, and I feel like this is, to me, this is probably one of Led Zeppelin's albums that's kind of, if it's possible, is a little bit overlooked and a little bit underappreciated. So if you haven't listened to Physical Graffiti ever, or if you just haven't listened to it in a long time, I recommend it now because it's so good, and I absolutely love it. I won't take this out and show you the inner packaging. It's a top loader, and each of the records comes in its own inner sleeve. But the repackaging, they did a really, really good job with this, so it's very cool. Now, their next album is called Presence, and this is another that I picked up just last week. This is, again, the 40th anniversary remaster, and again, it's got this hologram on the back. This is a Gatefold. Now, I've only listened to this, like I said, for maybe like 4 or 5 times all the way through, and this is kind of a difficult album to get into for me, but I do appreciate it. It has its own sound, which is really, really cool. And when I read online, it's kind of the album I think that a lot of people say is the album that it took them a while to get into, but once you get into it, you fall in love with it. And so I'm kind of hoping that's what happens for me. It's definitely has a bunch of great songs on here. The biggest song here is Achilles' Last Stand. I believe that's what it's called. That's the first song, it's really long, but it's excellent. It also has Nobody's Fault But Mine, which I like a lot. And this is on the Swan Song label, which is cool looking. And again, it sounds great. And I think, like I said, I think I got this one for like $20. So if you want to get some clean, nice sounding Led Zeppelin albums, these reissues are the way to go. So that's Presence. And this is Led Zeppelin's last album before John Bonham, the drummer, died. And this is In Through the Outdoor. And this is actually an original press, a US pressing. And I love this album. I think it's so cool. I got this a couple of years ago, I think is when I picked this one up. It's got the original inner sleeve, which is interesting. And this is on Swan Song again. And this is a US pressing. This is not in the best shape, but it still sounds great. And you can find these for very, very low price in your record store. I see these all the time in record stores for like $10 or under. I might get the reissue of this just to hear what the difference in sound quality, because I love the album so much. But it has a song on here called I think it's Fool in the Rain. Yes, I believe that's what it's called. Yeah, Fool in the Rain, hands down my favorite song on this album. Listen to the drums on that song. It's excellent. And by the way, that goes without saying, on all these albums, Led Zeppelin albums, the drumming is just superb. John Bonham, everything you've heard about him as being one of the best rock drummers of all time, 100% true. He absolutely kicks ass, and he's just so great. You got to listen to him. But all the band, Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page, Robert Plant singing, and John Paul Jones on bass, they all are amazing at what they do. And the cool thing about Led Zeppelin is you can hear every single individual instrument so well. They're recorded, just the way everything was recorded is so perfect, and I can't say enough about that. So if you really like music, and I'm sure all of you do if you're watching this channel, and you like rock music, Led Zeppelin, these albums, these are fantastic. Like I said, I'm sure all of you already know that, but I'm late to the game, so for me, I'm kind of discovering it for the first time, and I'm just blown away. Now this is Coda. This I just got today in the mail, and I just listened to the first 2 discs. Now this is the deluxe edition. This is a triple vinyl edition of this, and I gotta say I love it. Like I said though, haven't listened to it enough to really know about it. But this was released after John Bonham passed away. Originally, this was released, and it's kind of like all their like leftover songs they put into this album. So in a way, it's kind of like their version of, I guess, the Beatles, like the Beatles anthologies, you know, where they put all the like outtakes and stuff and whatever. But this is really cool, and this is the packaging of this is done phenomenally well. This is so solid for a triple album. It's like it weighs a lot, but it's just so solid, and I really just appreciate it a lot. And it opens up to a gatefold. It's got a really cool photo in there, and then it's a triple gatefold, which is very, very cool. So I've got to devote a lot more time to this. In fact, tonight I think I'm going to give it a headphone listen, which I should mention too. I've been doing that. I listen to it. I work from home, so during the day, and I work on my computer. During the day, I put on records and I play them through speakers because there's no one home, and I can just kind of play it loud, and I enjoy it that way while I'm working, kind of listen to it in the background. But then at night, what I've been doing is I've been making like a drink or coffee or something like that, whatever, a cocktail or coffee. And I've been laying on the couch with my headphones on, and I listen to these albums in depth and try to like really just absorb as much as I can. And I'll read about them as well on my phone or whatever information I can find. I'll read about them. And I'm just so obsessed with Led Zeppelin right now. And that's it for now. I just wanted to show you my Led Zeppelin record collection. And let me know if there's something that I've totally missed. Is there an album in here? I know these are all their official studio albums, but I don't have any of their live stuff. Should I get one of their live albums? Obviously, I probably will in the future, but should I get it now? What do you think? I do want to get the Live at the BBC Led Zeppelin record, because I've heard that's really, really good as well. But yeah, just let me know. Where do I go from here? I'd love to know what some of you think. So that's it for now, and yeah, Led Zeppelin. What an excellent band, and I'm late to the party, but glad I'm at the party, because yeah, I didn't know what I was missing. Okay, see ya.